Welcome, everyone. Happy Thursday. Happy post-tax day. Wait, where's Julie? She must be celebrating. Good to see you all. This is our final live leadership workshop for this year and the end of 4 years for me. So we'll see what happens next. You are tonight in the capable hands of our upcoming soon-to-be Governor Beth. And so I am gonna turn it over to her.
Okay, I will start sharing my screen. So I won't be able to see anybody. So Judy, kind of check chat.
Yep,
I'm
I got
trying,
you.
I'll start the share and then I'll tell you more. Okay, I want this and share. And okay, so this is bare bones. I don't have pretty pictures. It's a lot of words because code of conduct is related to a lot of words and a lot of issues. So Judy already welcomed you. I'll welcome you as well. So code of conduct, and I'll share. So code of conduct, tonight we're going to cover the purpose and applicability. We're going to talk about cracking the code, but in the wrong way. It's, I was thinking, cracking the code is more like all the, like Bletchley Park and all the encryption stuff. So it's not quite that way, and then the consequences of cracking the code. So I will say that this whole process with code of conduct was conducted at the Sierra Seroptimus International of the Americas, and the lead for it was and still is Peggy Gent. It's Gentile. Gentile, is that how you say it?
Hmm.
Van Meter. So some of you have seen her name because she was one of the three current board members that is running for president-elect for SIA. So kudos to her and her committee because they've done a really good job with this. Um, there's a vision and applicability document which came out in August of 2025, and Judy, our Governor Judy, presented that at our October district meetings. And so we got a taste of what values and components are part of the core of our code of conduct. Um, in addition, the code really reflects SIA's core values, which are found in SIA's strategic plan. In particular, I don't know, is my screen going off or not? I'll just keep going. In particular, it's talking about diversity and fellowship, which is really women from varied backgrounds and perspectives working together to improve the lives of women and girls. And that's a lot of what we've been talking in the Leadership Academy this year. Um, and Governor Judy has helped us with many of those things at our district meetings. I know we had those little short skits to represent some of the ways that maybe we were cracking the code. So let's go over code components. Responsibility, our commitment to take ownership of the decisions we make or fail to make, the actions we take or fail to take, and the consequences that result. So that there are five components again. That was the first one. Second is respect, our commitment to show, and I liked this that it says high regard for ourselves, others, and the resources entrusted to us. These resources may include money, reputation, That's really important in today, it's always important. The safety of others and informational resources. Um, and again, respect helps engender trust and confidence and performance excellence because we're collaborating with one another, again, trying to hit that goal of serving women and girls. The third component is fairness. It's our commitment to make decisions and act impartially and objectively, um, trying to be free from competing self-interest, prejudice, and favoritism. Four is honesty. It's our responsibility to understand the truth and act transparently in our communications and conduct. And the fifth is leadership. We talk a lot about having that part of our development. We don't just help serve women and girls out there in the community. We're also learning how to be leaders ourselves, and so it's important for us to think about leadership, not just for our particular leaders in our clubs, but also um, ourselves. So it's thinking of that as a set of positive behaviors that help our members align with SIA's mission, vision, core values, and strategic objectives. Okay, so those are all the components. Well, what happens when we crack the code of conduct? The committee that worked on this came out with three general categories for most conflicts and disputes. One, and so you can kind of think of these as we go through and think where maybe your club or other places out in the community where these particular behaviors or problems have arisen. So personality conflicts, inappropriate behavior. I think probably all of us have either seen or been that at one point or another. Um, Governance related grievances and severe violations. So what I'm going to be doing is, let me admit Carla. Um, so personality conflicts, what are they? Could be misunderstanding or lack of awareness. Maybe it's like a first violation of the code. Maybe it's ongoing interpersonal conflicts and they just come out at inopportune times. Examples, compromising or misusing member data. We get our directories. Are we taking care to preserve the privacy of our fellow members or not? That's an example. When we represent SIA in any capacity and we use personal expressions regarding sensitive topics such as religion, politics, or race, eye rolling, grimacing, whatever. So, so those are some of the ways that personality conflicts or inappropriate behavior can come out and create a problem. So, what are the consequences? So for personality conflict and inappropriate behavior, there's a level one. It's the thing, it comes up once, it's not an ongoing problem. It's the first time that something's come up. Just as we talked about having courageous conversations last year in our Leadership Academy, we want to address these conflicts directly with one another. Have those courageous conversations. That hurt my feelings. Or, you know, when you talk with this person or you use that tone, think about what that does. Outcomes, we want to foster awareness. We want to improve their ability to work effectively. And our ability, we want to find a mutually agreeable solution for all parties. Level two is, okay, you've talked with person once or twice, or the people once or twice, and it's been repeated and repeated. Um, so, how many of you have worked in someplace at, at your work? You have the hierarchy of the levels. You keep going up. So, level two, you provide a written warning. So this becomes a little more serious. It's not just a conversation, but and you reference the initial conversation. So I worked in government, so civil service rules were, you made sure you were documenting anything. Anybody who's worked in personnel, you make sure you document everything. You set clear expectations for improvement, including timelines. And if there's training or education that needs to be done to reduce the risk of future problems, you may require that. Or level three is okay, this is not going away. This person continually is persistent in their conflict and inappropriate behavior. Well, there's going to be at the Sierra Pacific, I keep saying Sierra Pacific. Can you tell I've been working on conference stuff too? Um, so at the Seroptimus International of the Americas, and I'm trying not to use SIA too often, but give you the full title. There will be a code of conduct review committee, and there will be submission forms that can be submitted for a review of the situation. Um, I didn't really put this part on the screens. So with a personality conflict, within your own club, you may be able to address it individually, member to member. If um, if you need some counsel for that, the recommendation is to go to your president because they're your acknowledged lead. Um, they do say in the process document, and I'll give you where you can find all this. If the conflict is with the club president, then you want to seek counsel from your region governor. Well, I would recommend actually taking one step in between, and that's talking with your district director first, because pulling in the region governor sometimes is that's going up a little too far, and it can probably be solved um, easier or faster with your district director. If it's club leaders, so your your fundraising and your the people who are awarding scholarships start getting into conflict. No, the money's supposed to go over here. No, it's supposed to go over there. Then that also can be the club president and district director if you need additional counsel, region governor, and we can even go to the executive director at SIA. Region leaders obviously go to the region governor or and SIA, if the conflict is with SIA board of directors, then it goes to the SIA president. So again, that's kind of the hierarchy. The next one is a little
Hey, Beth,
is
before you go on,
yes.
there's a question about, do we know, or are there any forms or anything like that yet?
There the I'll talk about that at the end.
Okay,
So,
very good.
so
Carry
you
on.
get to hear that. Stay till the end. Um, okay, so governance related grievances, situations involving misunderstanding of governing documents, misinterpretation of the governing documents, or a lack of awareness of operating procedures. Okay, so this really gets to bylaws, and procedures, bylaws and procedures, bylaws and procedures. Always go back. Sometimes, things are hanging over from years before and don't make sense anymore. Um, so if there are governance related grievances, and let me go to the next, if it's mild, the first thing, obviously, is you review those governing documents. If it's not clear, check with the club parliamentarian, check with the region parliamentarian. Documents may need clarification. And I know that at the region level, there still are some paragraphs that none of us quite understand, but they've been in there for a long time. And, we're trying to get those in the right language. Maybe they're repeated violations or they're operating outside of governing documents. Some clubs may have, for example, a debit card, and the use of the debit card can only be used for the dues at SIA, but it gets used for something else. Well, um, that would be an example of, okay, written warning, set clear expectations and timelines, training and education. That sounds kind of familiar from the personality issues. And then level 3 again, it's persistent. So it's submitting a form to the Code of Conduct Review Committee. Um, Very similar. Uh, And then the last area, the third area, is severe violations. This is on the level of criminal behavior, for example, physical abuse, harassment, embezzlement, misappropriation of funds, and it has significant liability and reputational risk. So again, you do that. And for all of these, it's the leadership or the aggrieved member would complete the code of conduct submission form for review of the situation. Well, what does all this mean, and what happens when it goes to this committee? So here, you submit a form. Um, this committee reviews the situation. They investigate, they review, they make a determination. That determination could be, oh, no, this complaint is dismissed. Could be an informal resolution. It could be a formal course of action. It may even need to escalate to the board of directors of Sir Optimus International for a final decision. And that would be for serious misconduct, repeated violations, or risk to reputation or safety. Let me tell you who's on that committee. Too many papers here. So the Code of Conduct Review Committee, and there are position descriptions. So you can apply for these, and I'll again talk about that more at the end. But it's comprised of SIA's executive director, the CIEO, which, do you know who that is, Judy? I don't know. I know Michelle is the executive director, but
That's Aisha.
Aisha, okay. Membership director or another designated staff representative. And then there are 4 volunteer members that are appointed by Aisha, following an open call for volunteers and application submission. One member is from the board of directors at the time of their appointment. Um, the members will be serving staggered 2-year terms, and they'll receive annual training on confidentiality, bias, and procedures. Let's see what else I should say. Yeah, okay, that's enough for that one. Um, Consequences of an investigation. So, okay, so say these are for the committee, the review committee, these are the actions that could happen, what specifically are those actions? It could be a suspension for a defined period based on the severity of the infraction. Some examples were 3 to 6 months or permanently suspended in their leadership roles, in their committee participation, in membership and member privileges, including attending meetings or events. So if somebody is super disruptive, and what I'd say is I'm thinking that we use these as some guides for our own clubs and think about it that way. This isn't, these are actual consequences from the CCRC or the Board of Directors investigation. But even at our level, if it's written into our bylaws, we may not want to go to permanent suspension, but we may want some other levels within our own bylaws. Um, there is a requirement that the review committee and the board of directors investigation, they have to provide a written notification within 30 days of the submittal of the complaint. If it's a serious violation, remember those were things like embezzlement, physical harm. That time frame would be reduced and be expedited. And there's no tolerance for retaliation. There's revocation of your membership. This is a lot of information. I'm realizing it's ugh. I feel like these were all the things when I worked for government where I thought, oh, I'm a manager now. I have to pay attention to all these things and I'm responsible for all these things. So um, there is an appeal process for people who have gotten that written notification. They can submit an appeal in writing within 14 days. It's yeah. Oh, no. Okay. It's reviewed by independent appeals panel, which we call it the appeals review panel, which is distinct from the previous bodies that made decisions. And that panel will issue a final and binding decision. Um, one more before we get to some more of the specifics. So, what if people on the review committee or the appeals review panel violate standards of confidentiality or the anti-bias or SIA procedures or the code of conduct? Well, they're immediately removed from their position and may face further investigation. For the appeals panel, that is going to be comprised of 6 volunteer members appointed by the SIA president following an open call for volunteers and application submission. Let's see. If the conflict involves their club and possibly region, depending on the context of the situation, they may or may not, they may need to recuse themselves from being on that panel for that particular issue. Again, its members are serving 2-year terms and will receive training on confidentiality, bias, and procedures. And with the next, these are the important dates that you should know. There is going to be a webinar on May 13th, just before our conference. I put the time is at 5 o'clock in the evening Pacific time. I had referred to both the review panel and the appeals review panel. There are applications that are due on May 14th. And then June 1st, that's when the Code of Conduct Agreement will be available for members to look at and sign. SIA headquarters is wanting all members to sign by August 31st. They're having some kind of contest by region. I don't know the details of that at this moment. They haven't announced that. But again, whether a member signs or doesn't sign, because they are a member of Seroptimus International of the Americas, they are held to this code of conduct. If you go to seroptimus.org, our SIA website, go to the For Clubs and Members section, continue to the For Clubs, and then to Club Administration. You scroll down a little bit to Member and Leader Code of Conduct, and all of the information that I presented in very short reduced amount is found there. So there's a what Governor Judy had handed out earlier in October, there's a vision and applicability document. There's the member and leader code of conduct process document, and that goes into even more detail than what I had. And then there's the position descriptions and the ability to apply for those committees if you're interested. You do need to obviously be a member in good standing. You need to be familiar with and supportive of the core values of Seroptimus International: gender equality, empowerment, education, diversity, and fellowship. And need an active email account. And then they have some specific duties as well. So you can find those forms there. Again, the code of conduct won't be out until June 1st to sign. And with that, I will put this down, I think, stop my share. And then any questions or comments? It's kind of, I mean, we're learning the consequences of it, of cracking that code. Um, I don't yet know how we want to have our clubs and our region incorporate that into our bylaws and procedures, but we will be wanting to do that. So I think that's going to be not on Judy's head, but on mine. Well, actually, it will be part of Judy's responsibility because I asked her to be parliamentarian. So, so she gets to still work on this stuff. Okay. So that's the end of what I was going to present. Amory has her hand raised.
I have a question, or a couple questions. When you mentioned about members signing the code of conduct, did you say that they didn't have to, they still have to abide by it, but they don't have to sign it?
Correct.
That's correct. We want people to sign it, obviously, but the code of conduct is going to be in place for every member. It's kind of a condition of membership. So
yeah.
Okay.
Just because someone refuses to sign it doesn't mean it doesn't apply.
Right.
Right.
Good question.
Another question I have is, let's say it's not like the extreme of embezzlement. What if it's not within the club, but it happened in another club they were in?
What do you mean?
So
That they visited a club and they saw it?
that they belong to another nonprofit, or another organization or in their business, and they got in trouble for
gotcha.
something severe like that.
Good question.
Well, you would not want that person to be your treasurer, first of all. Secondly, like, you don't have to let anyone be a member of your club. I mean, it's kind of a misconception that we can't turn people away, but that's not true.
Well, the situation is they were a member during the time,
Uh-huh.
but this was a long time ago, and this has not been in effect for, I mean, this was like 15 years ago.
Mhm.
So at this point, I mean, do you do anything about it? Do you just let it go? So maybe it's a conversation for a different time, but just a thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds like a specific situation. Happy to talk about it, Amory.
Yeah.
It's kind of tricky.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it
and
comes
if it was
up.
something, if it's something that um was went to the courts or something, that's a whole different matter too. I mean,
Okay,
yeah, if
yeah,
if you know and it's been proved, then that's one thing. But if you suspect but don't have proof, that's another. I mean,
okay,
sorry.
so I don't
Okay.
want to go into too much then, so maybe
Yeah,
it'll be a conversation for a different
sounds
time.
good.
Okay, and then it seems like our parliamentarian may have to play a stronger role, I guess, in code of conduct and the follow-up there. So will there also be training for parliamentarians?
Hmm, it's a good question. I think it's something we should definitely think about for and have. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay, that was all.
yeah,
Thank
would
you.
make sense. Yeah. Donna.
Those are excellent questions. In fact, I was thinking, well, if this is coming down from SIA, maybe perhaps SIA should have training available.
My
I
guess
don't
is
know.
there will be
Maybe.
some. The one pillar that we don't really know about is the education pillar. And
Mhm.
my guess is that there will be things connected with that. If there aren't, we'll go ahead and have some training ourselves. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, at least in my club, I've been talking about the code of conduct ever since we had our SPR conference where it
Mhm.
was brought up, which was actually what? How long ago? Was it a year ago or 2 years ago? I can't remember. I
Oh,
remember it
June.
was brought up.
Well, I know we talked about it definitely at our October fall meetings, but
Maybe that.
but I think Judy, I think you mentioned it at conference last year too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm
we've
pretty
known it's
sure.
coming. It's just the specifics. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know, my question is, do you know of any clubs that actually had some type of code of conduct in their bylaws um in the past?
Anybody on here?
They exist in a couple clubs I know in some form or fashion, but not nearly as fleshed out as this one.
Yeah. And not with the consequences that are fleshed out like this. Often it's if somebody on your board, um, if they haven't been meeting whatever requirements are part of their position, there's often something about dismissing them. But most clubs don't have a very hierarchical type of code of conduct and consequences. It tends to jump to dismissal because as opposed to or suspension as opposed to these other levels. Kelly.
In response to Donna, we have in our procedures a code of ethics, but not really a code of conduct. And there's something that alludes to it in the bylaws, but again, like you said, nothing this detailed. This is good.
Yeah, what do people feel good about this or what? I mean,
I like it.
I wish our club would have had it already this past year.
okay.
Well, this is long overdue and much needed. And we've, worked with a few clubs that it would have been nice to have this to back us up. In and of itself, it's not magic. It's not going to solve the issues. It's not going to change our needing to have tough conversations and honest conversations. But it does kind of give a level of support, if there's any disagreement, especially if someone has signed it. So.
Just looking at level 2, there isn't a form. It's just if somebody's going, it's the final level that you would do that, Linda. Yeah.
Okay, I really think we need a form at level 2. I mean, working in for universities, there always was a form that documented that conversation and timelines and what the expectations were. And I think if we don't have something in place like that before it goes to that final level, it's going to be really difficult.
Well, they do talk about at level 2 having a written warning and documenting whatever has been done prior to that and whatever steps you're taking. It's not something submitted to SIA at that point. So unless it's more egregious. So does that
Right,
make
but
yeah.
that's nice, but I think if we don't have a form that's consistent across everybody,
Oh,
that could look really different. Somebody might
gotcha.
jot notes down,
Gotcha.
I just
Okay.
think it would be really good,
Okay.
to have that. It was very helpful at the university level when you had a candidate that was having difficulty, so.
Yeah.
Maybe
Susan.
sorry,
Oh, sorry.
maybe the region can maybe assist with the format of
Yeah, that's what I
how
was
that step
thinking.
is.
Yeah.
Because I see the perspective of SIA, and if you tear it down one more level, then that opens up to their involvement more.
Yeah.
And so their response of getting back to those, higher level tiers would be lower because of the consumption of how many they're working on. Sorry if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It's good. Susan, hi.
Hi. Yeah, I wanted to say, even on the first offense, everywhere I worked, you still had to document it. You had
Yeah.
to, especially if you're going to have to reference it later, you
Yep.
kind of need to have that. And maybe just like, I guess people are going to have to know, hey, this is the basics, what you need to document.
Yeah.
Because when I was club president, I documented everything
Yeah.
because you never know what's going to come back up to
True.
you
True.
down the road. Somebody could say, hey, this was illegal. Why did they do that?
Yeah.
And then the other thing I was going to ask is, so on the record keeping of this is who's going to keep this? Is this going to be something the secretary keeps, these signed forms, or do we need to send them a copy
Oh,
to you, or
Keep them with your
or the
club. I think,
yeah.
Beth, they stay with the club.
They didn't really say.
Yeah.
It's a good question. It hasn't been addressed in the things, but I
Yeah,
would think
so
they keep with your club.
if I could just interject for a second. So
Yeah.
first of all, we've wanted to have this workshop a lot sooner than now, but we've been waiting for direction from headquarters, primarily because I don't want to tell you something that they were going to come in and change the rules later. So we literally just came out with this a couple of weeks ago, what
Yeah.
Beth presented tonight. I am hoping that these kinds of questions, these more specific, that they will be addressed when SIE does the workshop on the 13th. It's not great timing for us right before a conference, but if we can at least have a handful of people there, we can at least cover it and get the word out to everyone else. So we don't know everything yet either.
I signed up for the May 13th.
Good.
Yeah,
Also.
so, but now that you've seen this, you can think of what other kind of very specific questions like that. They're all great questions.
Yeah. Chris.
Yeah, I had my hand raised before this conversation, but I was just as I was listening, I was really thinking of privacy matters. Like you were saying, is who's going to handle the paperwork, and how are we going to keep issues private between the people that is involved. So I think there really needs to be something like that. Hopefully, is going to be addressed as well.
Yeah, good point. Anna.
Going back with Susan, just real quick. Susan, you said you signed up. So do you sign up on the SIA website for the May 13th?
Actually, we got something, I think it was in the Best for Women, and there
Oh,
was just a link, and I just hit that puppy, and yeah, it
okay.
signed up
I'm gonna
real
look
quick.
for that. I'm gonna look for that puppy.
Let's see, there were a couple other questions in there. Okay. So Tammy, any particular things you want to add? I see your thing about Amory's comments and concerns for somebody who has a violation. I know you've been serving on another committee at the SIA level, so you may have some insights that I have no clue about.
Well, I have seen most of it in pieces in my other task force. So just keep in mind that if they're not in good standing, that can resolve itself. So I don't know all the details, obviously, but I do know some things, and it is very detailed. They do have good plans. It will be enforced regardless of whether anybody wants to sign it, as you guys stated. And their goal is for everybody to sign it. I'm trying to think what else I do know. That's
Well, if you think of anything else, let me know. I'm going to go to another, I'll go to another comment.
perfect.
So I'm not sure who's on iPhone, but it says, once rolled out, if there is an issue prior, would there be I don't know what an SOL is.
I'm sorry, that's me. It's Bridget. So SOL, that's the legal jargon for statute of limitation. It's
Oh,
going to ask you
gotcha.
how far you can go back.
Okay, gotcha. It's a very good question, but I don't know either.
Yeah, my guess is we wouldn't really go back necessarily. And I think that I'm going out on a limb here and saying if someone's had a problem in the past, if they haven't overcome it, that it's going to resurface, so there will be an opportunity. If we're fortunate, it's an issue in the past and it doesn't repeat itself. But I don't think we would go backwards.
And then Ruth asked about if international already has a code of conduct. I don't know.
I don't know. I doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt it as well. Mary
I
Ann.
was just wondering if
Oh, yeah.
we had that experience that we could draw on. That's why I asked the
Oh,
question.
yeah. I don't think so, but I don't know either. Mary Ann, yes, my dear.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I really appreciated, I'm taking copious notes, and I really appreciated Amory's question as well as several others, and not feeling so isolated joining this. So thank you for the opportunity. Governor-elect Beth, I really appreciate the no signing does not mean accountability, because the individuals who need to sign are not going to sign. So
that's true.
I appreciate that. And past behavior, establishing a behavior, which my governor has really helped me understand that link. But my biggest worry in all of this is if the behavior has gone on for several years and it's beginning to, not even beginning, it has alienated members over the years. And now I think it seems to be going into a crescendo. We have the gift of Amory as parliamentarian, but how are the next presidents and parliamentarians going to be trained in that progressive discipline stage? You know, Governor-elect, you share, as we all know, there is a progressive discipline stage.
Yeah.
that we go through. We make sure we've crossed our T's and dotted our I's. But if it's a personality thing, you really still have to point to some level of legality. And I worry about the claims, of discrimination, disgruntledness. I know this is a big question, but is SIA considering any of that to give us further direction?
Any thoughts, Judy?
I don't know what they're considering, to be honest.
Me either.
Yeah, I really don't know the
And I
answer
can
to that.
see for some of our clubs that, especially in smaller communities like mine, the gossip goes really wide, really fast. And um, and so whether or not anything, as Chris was saying, whether or not anything comes, you're quote unquote talking with somebody about some issue that's arisen, um, and you try to keep it just, with a few people,
Sure.
but sooner or later, a lot of other people know, and so it's training ourselves, but also helping to train our members in this.
And also making sure we honor those who we are having difficulty
Yes,
with, marking and guarding their confidentiality, even though
yes,
we might be fed up, but also making
yes,
sure that the decorum is met and we remain professional. So
yeah,
I will say that I have gotten great guidance, and most recently from our director. And again, I think that many of these clubs would be completely overwhelmed with some of these difficulties.
yeah.
And if you have not had that experience, it's the biggest obstacle is to not be intimidated, is to proceed, to march forward, to carry it on to the next leader. And I have recently been reminded of that, but I I think we also, in the swirl of things, need to remember that we have a huge support in our board, in our region, in our own director, and in our governance. So that's going to help me in the near future, to make sure I don't, pass it on to the next person. But anyway, I really appreciate this training, but there needs to be so much more meat to it to set us up for success if we're asking people to sign on June 1st. So I hope those documents are, so self-explanatory, or that we can do them justice by explaining them before our full membership.
Me too. Me too. Other questions or comments? I do feel similarly to when I was managing people. And it's like, okay, this is a lot. And how do we handle this? And where are we going to go with this? But as Governor Judy was saying, it's important. Our clubs have needed this. Our region has needed this. Our federation has needed it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Susan. Oh, Susan?
I think Marianne.
Oh, do you? I wasn't sure. Are you done, Marianne, or did you have anything else?
I'm done. Thank you so much for the floor.
Okay.
So I honestly think this is a very important thing, and we just need to have a special program with the clubs when we ask them to sign it and explain this to them. And to be honest with you, I belong to a church and another organization, and both of them already have codes of conduct. And it's sad to say that a church has to have a code of conduct, but there's lawsuits. I'm just surprised SIA has just been so behind the times on it. And most of this is just going to be people having to understand they have to treat other people decently. And I think it's going to there's going to be people that are going to say, I can't change the way I am, and they're going to quit, and it's going to be sad. But I think this is great. This is for the better. We just need to be able to educate the members on what's expected of them.
Yeah. And I think, oh yes, thank you, Tammy. There is a flow chart about the escalation process. Um, I like that SIA's foundation for this is thinking, okay, what's our purpose and what do we value? And we value diversity and fellowship, and we're trying to make this work not only for ourselves, but as we're out in our communities, that people can respect Seroptimus International of the Americas as an organization because we're trying to deal with this, with issues that may come up proactively. So, yeah. Any other comments or questions or Donna?
I was, while we were going through all this, I went on the Rotary website to see if they had a code of conduct. Because a lot of times in our community, Rotary is kind of somebody that, you know, we work together with or look at what they do and that type of thing. And it looks like they do have a code of I'm sure different organizations' code of conducts all look different as far as that goes. But I had put a little note in there that I think it makes members accountable, especially when you sign that, you know, we're signing a code of conduct to be respectful to one another and to treat each other with kindness and dignity, that type of thing. Which is kind of sad that you sometimes have to remind each other of that. But it's, as you well know, you and Pam and Judy, who took a trip to our town, things happen sometimes. And, you know, I just think having a code of conduct is something that is necessary. So.
Good. Thank you.
Get on my soapbox for a second. So
thank you.
Nothing I say is going to surprise you. You know, this isn't the magic fix, right? You know, this doesn't solve or take away our need to have the hard conversations to tackle the really hard stuff. You know, in a lot of places, a lot of circumstances, I think we've sort of been waiting for this. We shouldn't have been waiting for it. I mean, we're waiting for it in terms of knowing how we're going to do this, you know, mass implementation, but it doesn't take the place of conversations and actions that should already be happening in our clubs in our region to address problem behaviors. I mean, all this does is distract us from our mission. We all know that. We've all experienced it, I think, at some level, except for apparently Calaveras, who's perfect. We established that at our last workshop. No, there are going to be disagreements. There's always going to be personality conflicts. There's always going to be a decision that someone doesn't like. You know, that's reality. We're people. But you know, I think when you kind of look at the high level, let's be honest, let's be respectful, let's be kind. We can fall back on that about how we should treat each other. This is a tool to kind of say, hey, you agreed to this, you know, so I think it helps us, but it doesn't take the place and it doesn't make those conversations aren't suddenly going to be easier. You know, now you're writing people up like you do at work. That's no fun. None of us want to do that. But all your questions are really, really good about how do we cement this? How do we protect it? How do we transition it from year to year to year? Those are all conversations we're going to be having within our region. We'll be, you know, I will take all these questions up to the SIA board because they're very real. And I don't want us to be so stuck in the how to, you know, fill out this form or do this. We need to pay attention to those things, but I don't want us to lose focus on what we really need to be looking at, which is talking to each other and hopefully not letting things escalate. You know, in reality, we all are probably at a point in time where there's some things that we need to deal with right now. And maybe some of you have been kind of waiting for this, and that's okay. But we need to move on those things. We need to, dare I say, keep moving forward, because we can't get stuck, and we can't allow, one instant or one person or a couple of people or a clique that's kind of dangerous to take over our clubs and our focus. So I really want us to look at this as a tool to help us do the things we already know that we need to do that are hard. And I absolutely recognize that they're hard. And none of us sign up to volunteer and give our all of our time and money and talent and passion about our mission to be caught up in the types of conflicts and things we're talking about. None of us want that, but it is real. The sooner we deal with it, the less, I guess, we don't give it a chance to grow and get worse. I mean, I would love to think that none of this ever has to go through that hierarchy and get escalated to headquarters. My gosh, I don't want that to happen. I don't even want stuff to get up to the region level, but it does, and that's okay. That's why we're here. And we're here to help you address issues and have these conversations in your clubs. We can't do it for you, but we can help you. And that's what we've tried to do in the last 2 years at least, is really, be a resource for you, help you have the conversations. But please look at this as a tool to help do all that and not a magic fix. I think you know that.
Yeah. I like that soapbox. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
Thank you for this.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you all want to you had some great questions tonight, but as you think about it more, if you have very specific questions, please send them to Beth and me.
Yes.
We will take those. We will push back. We will continue to ask headquarters, this committee that's forming. I'm going on to the board. I will take those questions. We will get them answered.
Yes.
So, you have time to think about it, but please send them as you think of things.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, perfect. Kelly has her hand up.
Oh, I just want to say real quick, my hope for for all the clubs is that they look at this and it's a reminder. You look at it and you go, "Oh gosh, have I done that?" Or because we don't often think about that. Like, was I a crappy person? Nobody wants to think about that, but when it's put in front of you, maybe it's just a really, really good reminder of, crap, I did that. Maybe I don't do that again. So that's my hope for it. I don't think because, as you know, Judy, we are perfect, but gosh, I'm really going to miss this Club of the Year thing, you guys. But I think it will be a really a nice reminder for everybody, even if they're not in that bad category, just to read it.
Yeah.
Yep, you're right. You'll always be Club of the Year.
Thanks, Judy.
I just ride on her coattails because I'm her friend.
Could we just say that we are the OGs? Like, I feel like we're right? All right,
Started something.
I get to do this for another month, you guys. So live with it. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, be careful. You
get to turn it over to someone else.
People who
Leanna's here, yeah.
like you.
Sorry, Leanna. You got this, girl.
Oh. Well, it's wonderful to see all of you, and yeah. And this is our last one for this year. Make sure that you, if you have to catch up on anything, check it out. Check out the website and catch up. I know I have a few that I have to catch up on. So.
Is there a place we can go if we think we missed one?
You can check with me. I have the master list now. Debbie so graciously maintains the list throughout the year and then turns it over to me, and I fill in like all the forms that people have sent in and stuff. So if you have any questions about where you stand, just let me know.
Debbie's a rock star.
Thanks.
And thank you, Beth, for putting this together.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I didn't have a lot of extra time, so
it was good for me too.
Yeah, it's gonna fall on you more than me.
I know.
So.
I figured I better learn it now.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all. Good to see you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We have your back, Beth. Don't worry.
I know you do. Bye.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.